Hey, what is up? It's Ross, and I wanted to start doing a monthly tarot deck review. I'm going to start off with one of my favorite decks. We're going to use a 5 point system, and actually, I guess it's a 4 point system in top five cards. I don't know. We'll get into it right now. First deck we're going to use is the very first tarot deck that I ever got. This is not the same copy of the deck. I've had to rebuy it a couple times. As you can see, this box is beat to shit. Uh, the first thing that I like to ask is this deck easy to use? This is a deck that is not good for beginners in my experience. While they have the little book that explains all of the cards, now that I've learned the Rider Smith Waite system and I have a bit more familiarity with tarot, this is kind of its own system in many ways, and it takes a lot of liberties with the cards. So it's challenging for beginning readers, I would say, if you're trying to learn tarot as a whole. If you're going to get one deck and one deck only ever, it's probably a good deck. Or if you're willing to learn how to read some of the cards more traditionally and then want to build upon that, this is like a good intermediate deck, I would say. Quality of the cards. I've had this copy of this deck in particular now for 5+ years. The cards are holding up well. The cards are good card stock. Some of them are very flimsy and cheap, and you can tell the difference between, at least I can tell the difference in some of the cards. These are good quality. They're by Lee Scarabo, I think is how you pronounce the name. From what I've seen, that company produces high quality cards, so very, very good. Artwork and coloring, that is what drew me to this deck in particular. I'm going to show you my top 5 cards and we'll look at some of the artwork. The artwork is stunning. It really blends a lot of aspects of, what's the word I'm looking for here? The spiritual journey with society, and it blends a lot of tribal concepts with modern living. And it's a really, really cool way to think about these concepts and bring them into your life. So the artwork is stunning, very, very colorful, high detail. To me, it really makes this a deck. Mood of the deck overall, I had already kind of touched on. It's kind of like having a spiritual experience in modern society. Like, I really think that when this deck came into my life, it was like at the very beginning of one of my spiritual emergencies, and I think that it helped facilitate it in many ways, just because the artwork is so inspiring, and it really goes down to a core essence of what people like me and people that are probably watching this are going through, of connecting back to their roots and awakening these energies and stuff like that. Top 5 favorite cards. It was really hard to pick for this deck because like less than a quarter of the way through it, I already had 5 cards. I changed a couple of them out. Because I have OCD, I could literally spend hours and hours trying to pick my top favorite cards. I went with the ones that caught my eye the most this time because I love the whole deck. So you can deal with it, and we'll look at the cards now. So the Lovers card in this deck, I think, is really well done. The reason being, it has the man and the woman there, and then there's like the wedding knot, but it's represented by a serpent. So that's a call to like Kundalini awakening. That could be a call to some of the ayahuasca visions. There's also this sense of the alchemical wedding, which is unifying the masculine and feminine principles within ourselves, which then causes the Kundalini awakening. And then here you have what would be the angel in Rider Smith Waite presented as the shaman. And here it like activates this higher sense of being because of the alchemical wedding leading to that, right? I think that's a really, really potent example. And I tied in the ayahuasca specifically because of the jungle thing, but I think that it's still tapping into the same energy that's probably expressed in ayahuasca. I've never done it, but I have a feeling that this person was either inspired by that concept to some regard, or there's something there, I guess is the easiest way to put it. We'll look at the next card. The World card. I just love the World card, because I think that having the Ouroboros there is incredibly important. Having the feminine goddess energy overlooking the world, I think, is important because we generally associate Mother Earth. I think that feminine generative principle is important. It can also be Mother Universe if you want it to be. there's not much that I can really say on it. I also like the fact that the serpent is red for like the material or rooted world. It's just a really great card. Um, yeah, that's really all I can say on that one because it is so straightforward. But that's the thing, like, while this deck takes a lot of liberties with certain cards, the other cards that it does, the symbolism that this deck portrays is incredibly potent. The healing card or temperance in traditional tarot, I shouldn't say traditional tarot, in the Rider-Smith-Waite deck. I love this card because it shows balance in a really interesting way. So generally in esotericism, there's passive energy and active energy. Feminine energy is typically associated with passive energy. So here, the feminine energy is being active, and it's actually causing the man to be passive and stop and take a look. It's stopping the guy in his tracks, right? Additionally, there's this showing of how if you're active, taking a moment and stopping, like the balance of that creates change or transformation represented by the butterflies. Additionally, butterflies represent air. Air is thought over emotion, which is represented by water, and it shows how the interplay of those two things as well. It's just really, really, really potent symbolism on that card. And I think they do such an exceptional job of making it work that like it's really hard to not include this card in there because it really is just so beautifully, beautifully done. And we'll move on now to the next one. The Hunter of Demons. If you would have told me that I would be including the Hierophant and top 5 of decks of cards, I would find that hard pressed to believe because the Hierophant is about tradition and belief, and it's kind of like the spiritual control. But this is one of the areas where they make a really cool play on the meaning of this. The Hunter of Demons here is going into these old beliefs and traditions and like exercising them of all of their bullshit, right? The Hunter of Demons is making sure that things have agency and meaning in modern society and are current with what we actually need. It's not holding on to useless boondoggles of a dead culture. And I think that's, at least that's how I interpret it, which is super heavy. That's why I like this meaning of it, because it also incorporates the reverse meaning of the Hierophant, which I like to view as following a path with heart. Path with heart is baked into the Hunter of Demons. And that's why I like it. And then Seven of Wands, to me, this is not a traditional representation of Wands in any stretch. Seven of Wands is about like victory and accomplishment, right? In this deck, the reason that I chose this is because it's actually what victory and accomplishment feels like at times, at least for me. It might be because of my cluster B personality disorders or some of the mental health issues that I have. But at times, I feel like this very small thing taking on this massive behemoth. And that's why I chose it, because symbolically, it's dope as fuck is the easiest way that I can put it. But yeah, I highly, highly recommend this deck. I would say if you've been reading for 6 months to a year, you're probably able to read this well. If you're able to read without the book, without the little book of cards and know the meanings of the cards, not just intuitively read, but like if you genuinely know the cards, I would say this is probably good after a year or two. Do what you want. I'm not an authority. I'm not gatekeeping. Like, take my advice on anything with a grain of salt. And yeah, I hope that this was helpful. If it was, leave a comment. Tell me what you liked about it. Tell me what you didn't like about it. And subscribe if you have not already. Peace.